The $3,000 necklace sat in my hand like a coiled snake, its diamonds catching the jewelry store's harsh fluorescent light. I'd been planning this purchase for weeks, saving up from my software engineer salary to surprise my wife Lily with something that would make her Instagram followers weep with envy. But standing there in Tiffany's, watching the sales associates practice smile, all I could think about was what I'd overheard the night before. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Max says he's never had someone so uninhibited, Lily had whispered into her phone, thinking I was asleep. God, Becca, you have no idea how boring Martin has become. Another dull night with my boyfriend. That's literally what I posted yesterday. My name is Martin Sloan, and I'm apparently the most boring man in Massachusetts. At 32, I thought I had life figured out. Good job at a tech startup, decent apartment in Cambridge, and a wife who made our life look perfect on social media. Lily Sloan, née Patterson, was everything I wasn't. Spontaneous, beautiful, socially connected. Her lifestyle blog and Instagram account had grown to over 200,000 followers in the past 2 years, turning our mundane existence into carefully curated content. But apparently, our existence was too mundane for her taste. Will you be taking this today, sir? The sales associate's voice snapped me back to reality. I looked down at the necklace again, then at my phone where Lily's latest Instagram story showed her at some collaboration event downtown. She told me it was a boring brand meeting. The timestamp showed it was posted 20 minutes ago, right when she was supposed to be in that boring meeting. Actually, no, I said, sliding the necklace back across the counter. I need to think about it. The associate's smile faltered slightly, but she nodded professionally. Of course. We'll hold it for 24 hours if you'd like. Don't bother. I walked out of Tiffany's with my credit card intact and my illusions shattered. The Boston Commons stretched out before me, couples walking hand in hand under the October sun. I pulled out my phone and did something I'd never done before. I booked a weekend at the luxury resort in the Berkshires that Lily had been hinting about for months. The same resort I'd been saving up for, planning to surprise her with for our 3rd anniversary next month. But this time, I booked it for one. The drive to Whiteface Resort took 2 hours. 2 hours of my mind racing through every interaction, every conversation, every moment over the past few months where Lily had seemed distant, distracted, different. The way she'd started working out more, buying new clothes, spending more time on collaborations with her photographer Max Landon. Max, with his perfectly tousled hair and his fake woke Instagram captions about authentic living and capturing real moments. Real moments. The irony wasn't lost on me. I checked into the resort's presidential suite, the same one I'd planned to book for our anniversary. The concierge, a pleasant woman named Margaret, seemed surprised that I was alone. Will Mrs. Sloan be joining you later? She asked, clearly recognizing the name from the reservation system. No, I said simply. Change of plans. The suite was everything the website had promised. Panoramic mountain views, marble bathroom, king-size bed with Egyptian cotton sheets. I opened a bottle of wine from the complimentary selection and sat on the balcony, watching the sun set over the mountains while my phone buzzed with increasingly frantic texts from Lily. Where are you? Martin, your car's not here. Are you okay? I'm worried. This isn't funny. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened Instagram and watched her stories from the boring brand meeting. There she was, laughing with Max at what looked suspiciously like a cocktail party. Her dress was new, I would have remembered that red number, and her smile was brighter than I'd seen it in months. The wine was starting to work its magic, loosening the knot of anger and hurt in my chest, when my phone exploded with notifications. Not texts this time, Instagram tags, dozens of them. I opened the app with trembling fingers and saw it immediately. A photo posted by Tasha Morrison, one of Lily's friends from college. The caption read, "When you think nobody's watching, couples goals, authentic love." The photo showed Lily and Max kissing passionately against a brick wall, her hands tangled in his hair. His hands were places that definitely weren't appropriate for a business meeting. My phone rang immediately. Dave Chen, my coworker and closest friend. "Dude," he said without preamble, "please tell me you've seen Instagram." "I've seen it." "Where are you? I'm coming over." "I'm not home. I'm at a resort in the Berkshires." There was a pause. "Alone?" "Very alone." "Martin, I'm so sorry, man. We all knew something was up, but nobody wanted to be the one to—" "You all knew?" The words came out sharper than I intended. "Not knew, but suspected. The way she talked about you lately. The way she'd light up when Max's name came up. Shit, I should have said something. I took a long sip of wine and stared out at the mountains. It's not your fault, Dave. What are you going to do? That was the question, wasn't it? What was Martin Sloan, boring software engineer, going to do about his wife's very public betrayal? I'm going to finish this wine, I said, and then I'm going to figure out how to stop being so goddamn boring. After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time, watching the stars appear over the mountains. My phone continued to buzz. More friends, more family members, more people who'd seen the photo that was now making its way around Boston's social media circles. Lily's carefully curated world was about to get very messy, very quickly, but not as messy as I was about to make it. I opened Instagram and navigated to Tasha's photo. With steady fingers, I shared it to my own story with a simple caption. Glad I didn't buy that necklace after all. Some people deserve honesty, others deserve each other. Within minutes, my phone was ringing again. This time, it was Lily. Martin, please let me explain. Explain what, exactly? I kept my voice calm, controlled. Explain how you've been sleeping with your photographer while I've been working 60-hour weeks to pay for your lifestyle. Explain how I'm so boring that you had to announce it to the internet. Or explain how you've been lying to my face for months while I planned romantic surprises for our anniversary. She was crying now, ugly sobs that might have moved me a week ago. It's not what it looks like. Max and I were just... Save it, Lily. I heard your phone call with Becca last night. I know exactly what you and Max are. You were listening to my private conversations? The audacity was breathtaking. Private conversations in our bedroom about your affair? Yeah, I listened. Sue me. Martin, please come home. We can work this out. I made a mistake. No, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. You made a choice, multiple choices actually, and now I'm making mine. I hung up and turned off my phone. The next morning, I woke up to a different world. When I finally turned my phone back on, I had 247 unread messages. My Instagram post had been shared hundreds of times, and Lily's world was imploding in real time. Her main sponsor, a high-end skincare company, had already posted a statement distancing themselves from her personal choices. 3 other brands had quietly removed her from their upcoming campaigns. The comments on her latest posts were brutal. Her followers, who had invested emotionally in her perfect relationship, felt betrayed and weren't shy about expressing it. But the most interesting messages were from people I barely knew, Lily's acquaintances, other influencers, even some of Max's friends, all reaching out with information, screenshots, stories. It seemed that once the dam broke, everyone wanted to share what they knew about Lily and Max's collaboration. Becca Williams, Lily's best friend and biggest enabler, had sent me a long message trying to do damage control. Martin, I know you're hurt, but posting that was cruel. Lily made a mistake, but she loves you. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive her? I screenshotted it and sent it to Dave with a message. Apparently months of cheating is just a mistake now. His response was immediate. Want me to post the screenshots of her group chat where she called you a walking ATM with no personality? Because I have those. You have what now? Tasha sent them to me this morning. She's disgusted with Lily. Apparently your wife has been very chatty about your shortcomings. Send them. What Dave sent me was worse than I'd imagined. Screenshots of a group chat between Lily, Becca, and 2 other women I recognized from her social circle. Months of messages mocking me, my appearance, my personality, my boring job. Messages about how Max was everything Martin isn't, and how she was finally feeling alive again. But the worst part wasn't the mockery. It was the calculation. Messages about how she needed to play it smart and keep Martin happy until she could transition her brand away from the couple content that had made her popular. She'd been planning to leave me, but only after she'd used our relationship to build her platform enough to survive on her own. I was her exit strategy, not her husband. I forwarded the screenshots to my lawyer, Tom Richardson, with a simple message. We need to talk. Tom called me within an hour. Martin, I've reviewed the screenshots. While they're certainly hurtful, Massachusetts is a no-fault divorce state, so adultery won't impact property division significantly. However, if she's been using joint funds for personal expenses related to her affair, she has been. I can prove it. Good. Also, I'd recommend documenting everything. If she tries to paint you as the villain in this divorce, having evidence of her deception will be valuable. Tom, what if I told you I don't want a quiet divorce? There was a pause. What do you mean? I mean, she built her brand on our relationship. She made money off our perfect love story. If that was all fake, shouldn't her followers know? Martin, be very careful. Revenge posting can backfire legally and personally. What if it's not revenge? What if it's just honesty? After I hung up with Tom, I sat in the resort's restaurant, picking at Eggs Benedict while scrolling through the continued fallout from my Instagram post. Lily had posted a long, carefully worded apology that managed to blame me for growing apart while taking minimal responsibility for her affair. The comments weren't buying it, but Max had stayed silent. No posts, no statements, no acknowledgement of the chaos he'd helped create. That struck me as cowardly, and cowardice deserved consequences. I paid my bill and drove back to Boston with a plan forming in my mind. The first stop was Max's photography studio in the South End. Landon Creative occupied the ground floor of a converted brownstone, its windows displaying artfully lit portraits of local influencers and small business owners. I'd been there before, back when Lily and Max's collaboration was supposedly professional. I parked across the street and watched for an hour, taking note of the foot traffic, the delivery schedules, the rhythm of the business. Max's assistant, a young woman with purple hair and multiple piercings, seemed to run most of the day-to-day operations while Max focused on the creative vision. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Tasha Morrison. I know you probably hate all of Lily's friends right now, but I wanted you to know that some of us are disgusted by what she did. If you need anything, evidence, testimony, whatever, I'm here." I called her immediately. "Tasha, it's Martin." "Oh, good. You got my message. Listen, I've been Lily's friend for 8 years, but what she did to you is unforgivable. The way she talked about you in that group chat made me sick." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve better, and because I'm tired of watching her manipulate everyone around her. Did you know she's been telling people you're financially controlling, that you monitor her spending and make her ask permission for everything?" I laughed bitterly. "I pay for everything and never question how she spends money. Hell, I was about to drop $3,000 on a necklace for her when I found out about the affair." "I know. She's been spinning this narrative that you're the problem, that she had to find happiness elsewhere because you were suffocating her. It's bullshit, and I'm done enabling it." "Tasha, can I ask you something? How long has this been going on?" "With Max? At least 6 months, probably longer. But Martin, there were others before him." The words hit me like a physical blow. "Others? I'm sorry. I thought you should know. There was her yoga instructor last year, and before that, some guy she met at a conference in New York. She called them adventures, and said what you didn't know wouldn't hurt you." I sat in my car, staring at Max's studio, feeling like my entire marriage had been a lie, which, apparently, it had been. "Tasha, would you be willing to go on record about this? For my lawyer?" "Absolutely. And Martin, I have more screenshots, ones that Dave doesn't have, ones that show just how calculated all of this was. Send them to me." "Already did." I hung up and checked my messages. What Tasha had sent was devastating, not just evidence of Lily's affairs, but proof that she'd been planning to divorce me and take half of everything, including the software I'd been developing in my spare time, a program that could be worth millions if I ever finished it and brought it to market. She'd been setting me up for years, playing the loving wife while planning my destruction. That's when I stopped feeling guilty about what I was planning to do. I drove home to our apartment in Cambridge, knowing Lily would be there waiting. Sure enough, her car was in our parking spot, and I could see her silhouette in the living room window. She met me at the door, eyes red from crying, wearing the dress I'd bought her for her birthday last year. The manipulation was so obvious, it was almost insulting. "Martin, thank God you're home. We need to talk." "Yes, we do." I walked past her into the living room, noting that she'd cleaned the apartment and lit candles. The whole scene was staged for maximum emotional impact. "I know you're angry," she began, settling onto the couch in what she probably thought was a vulnerable pose. "And you have every right to be. I made a terrible mistake." "Which mistake was that, Lily? Max, or the yoga instructor, or the guy from New York?" Her face went white. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that you've been cheating on me for years, not months. I'm talking about your group chat where you called me a walking ATM with no personality. I'm talking about your plan to divorce me and take half of my software project." She started to protest, but I held up my hand. "I'm also talking about the fact that you built your entire brand on our relationship while actively sabotaging it behind my scenes. Your followers think they've been watching a love story, but they've actually been watching you commit fraud. That's not true, isn't it? You've made thousands of dollars promoting products as part of a happy couple while secretly planning to leave me. You've accepted sponsorships based on our relationship while actively destroying it. If that's not fraud, it's at least false advertising." Lily's tears had stopped, and I could see the calculation in her eyes. She was trying to figure out how much I knew and how much damage I could do. "What do you want, Martin?" "I want honesty. For once in our marriage, I want complete honesty. Fine. Yes, I've been unhappy. Yes, I've made some poor choices, but I never meant for it to go this far. Define this far. She was quiet for a long moment. I never meant for you to find out like this. So you meant for me to find out eventually? I meant for us to grow apart naturally. I thought maybe you'd meet someone else, or we'd just drift apart. While I continued to pay for your lifestyle and help build your brand, it wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, Lily. You used me for years. She stood up abruptly, her vulnerable act dropping completely. You know what, Martin? Yes, I used you, because you were so pathetically grateful to be with someone like me that you never questioned anything. You just worked your boring job and paid for my life and acted like you were lucky to be there. There it was. The truth, finally. And maybe I was grateful, I said calmly. Maybe I did think I was lucky. But you know what? I'm not boring, Lily. I'm just honest. And honest people finish last until they decide to stop being honest. What's that supposed to mean? I smiled, and for the first time in months, it felt genuine. It means you're about to find out what happens when the boring guy stops playing nice. Are you threatening me? I'm promising you. You built your brand on our relationship? Fine. Let's show your followers what our relationship really looked like. I pulled out my phone and opened the recording app. Tell me about Max. I'm not doing this. Then I'll tell them myself. I'll post every screenshot, every piece of evidence, every detail of how you manipulated and used me. Your choice, control the narrative or let me control it. She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. You wouldn't. Try me. What followed was the most honest conversation we'd had in years. With my phone recording every word, Lily admitted to the affairs, the manipulation, the calculated deception. She admitted to using our relationship for content while actively sabotaging it behind the scenes. She admitted to planning to leave me once her brand was strong enough to survive without couples content. And she admitted that she'd never actually loved me. I'd just been convenient. When she finished, I stopped the recording and looked at her for what I knew would be the last time. Pack your things, Lily. You have until tomorrow to get out. You can't kick me out. My name is on the lease, too. Actually, I can. Check the lease agreement. There's a morality clause. Adultery is grounds for immediate eviction if the other party requests it. My lawyer made sure of that when we moved in together. She stared at me in shock. You planned this? No, Lily. I planned for the possibility that one of us might cheat. I just never thought it would be you. After she left to stay with Becca, I sat in our apartment, my apartment now, and planned my next moves. The recording was devastating, but it was just the beginning. If Lily wanted to play games with people's emotions for profit, then she was about to learn what it felt like to be on the receiving end. I started with her sponsors. Not the big ones who had already dropped her, but the smaller brands who were probably hoping the controversy would blow over. I sent them the screenshots, the recordings, and a carefully worded message explaining that they were associating their brands with someone who had built her platform on a lie. By morning, 3 more sponsors had dropped her. Then I turned my attention to Max. His Instagram account was a masterclass in pretentious photography and fake deep captions about authentic moments and real connections. The irony was perfect. I created a fake email account and sent him a message pretending to be a potential client, a wealthy businessman looking for discreet photography services for his complicated relationship situation. Max responded within hours, eager for the high-paying gig. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop in Harvard Square, and I spent the morning preparing for the encounter. Max arrived 10 minutes late, scanning the coffee shop for his potential client. He was exactly as I remembered, tall, lean, with that carefully tousled hair, and the kind of stubble that takes effort to maintain. He was wearing a leather jacket that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. I watched him for a few minutes before approaching. Max Landon? He turned, and I saw the moment of recognition followed immediately by panic. Martin, what are you doing here? Meeting a potential client, I said, gesturing to the empty chair across from him. Sit down. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. Unless you want me to start discussing your business practices loudly enough for everyone in here to hear. He sat down reluctantly, his eyes darting around the coffee shop like he was planning an escape route. Look, man, about Lily, nothing. This isn't about her anymore. This is about you. I pulled out my phone and showed him screenshots of our email exchange. Discreet photography for complicated relationships? That's an interesting way to describe what you do. I don't know what you mean. I think you do. I think you specialize in photographing married women and then seducing them. I think it's your business model. His face went pale. That's not true. Isn't it? How many of your female clients have you slept with, Max? How many marriages have you helped destroy? I never forced anyone to do anything. No, but you certainly encouraged them. You made them feel special, artistic, alive. You gave them attention their boring husbands couldn't provide, and then you documented the whole thing for your portfolio. I leaned forward, keeping my voice low and calm. Here's what's going to happen, Max. You're going to stay away from my wife. You're going to delete every photo you've ever taken of her, and you're going to find a new line of work. Or what? Or I'm going to make sure every married woman in Boston knows exactly what kind of photographer you are. I'm going to post your dating history, your client list, and every piece of evidence I can find about your predatory business practices. You can't do that. It's harassment. It's truth. And truth isn't harassment, it's journalism. I stood up, leaving him sitting at the table. You have 24 hours to delete those photos, Max. After that, things get complicated. As I walked away, I heard him call after me. She came on to me, you know. She wanted this. I turned back, and for the first time in the conversation, I let my anger show. Maybe she did, but you knew she was married, and you didn't care. That makes you a predator, and predators deserve whatever they get. That evening, I got a call from Dave. Dude, have you seen Max's Instagram? No. Why? He deleted everything. Every photo of Lily, every post from the past 6 months. His account looks like a ghost town. I smiled. Interesting. What did you do? I had a conversation with him about professional ethics. Martin, please tell me you didn't do anything illegal. I didn't do anything illegal. I just helped him understand the consequences of his choices. But Max's capitulation was just the appetizer. The main course was Lily's complete social destruction, and I was just getting started. Over the next week, I systematically dismantled the life she'd built on lies. Every brand partnership, every collaboration, every friendship that was based on her fake persona, I exposed it all. I created a blog called The Truth About Influence and posted a detailed timeline of Lily's deceptions, complete with screenshots, recordings, and testimonials from people who had been manipulated by her. I didn't have to lie or exaggerate. The truth was damning enough. Her follower count began to plummet as people realized they'd been investing emotionally in a fiction. Brands distanced themselves from the controversy. Other influencers, worried about their own reputations, stopped associating with her. But the most satisfying part was watching her try to fight back. She posted a series of Instagram stories trying to paint herself as the victim, claiming I was abusive and controlling. She said I was slut-shaming her and destroying her career out of spite. The response from her remaining followers was swift and brutal. They'd seen the evidence. They knew who the real victim was. Becca tried to organize a counter-campaign, posting about supporting women through difficult times and not judging people for their mistakes. But when I posted screenshots of her encouraging Lily's affairs and helping her lie to me, Becca's own followers turned on her. Within 2 weeks, Lily's influencer career was over. Her follower count had dropped from 200,000 to fewer than 50,000, and most of those were hate followers waiting to see what happened next. She moved out of our apartment and in with her parents in suburban Boston, a development that she somehow managed to blame on me. But I wasn't done yet. The software I'd been developing, the one Lily had planned to claim half of in our divorce, was finally ready for market. It was a revolutionary social media management tool that could automate content creation and engagement tracking for influencers and small businesses. I called it Authenticity and launched it with a marketing campaign that told my story. The boring software engineer who built something amazing while his influencer wife was building a career on lies. The irony was perfect, and the market loved it. Pre-orders exceeded my wildest expectations. Tech blogs picked up the story, framing it as a David versus Goliath tale of authentic creation versus manufactured influence. Within a month, I had venture capital firms calling with investment offers. The software that Lily had planned to steal as part of her exit strategy became the foundation of my new life. But the real satisfaction came 6 months later, when I ran into her at a coffee shop in Harvard Square, the same one where I'd confronted Max. She looked different. Older, tired, defeated. The confidence that had once radiated from her was gone, replaced by a nervous energy that made her seem fragile. "Martin," she said, approaching my table hesitantly, "can we talk?" "I don't think we have anything to talk about, Lily. Please, just 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I gestured to the empty chair across from me. She sat down carefully, like she was afraid I might change my mind and leave. "I wanted to apologize," she began, "for everything. I know I hurt you, and I know I destroyed our marriage. I was selfish and cruel, and you didn't deserve any of it." "No, I didn't." "I also wanted to ask, could you maybe take down the blog? I'm trying to rebuild my life, and every time someone Googles my name, they find all of that information. It's making it impossible for me to move forward. I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation, but all I saw was genuine desperation. Lily, do you remember what you said to me the night I confronted you about the affairs? She shook her head. You said I was pathetically grateful to be with someone like you. You said I was boring, and that I never questioned anything because I was so lucky to have you. I was angry. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. And you know what? You were right. I was pathetically grateful. I did think I was lucky. But you taught me something valuable, Lily. You taught me that boring, honest people don't have to finish last. They just have to stop being so goddamn nice. I stood up, leaving money on the table for my coffee. The blog stays up. Not because I want to hurt you, but because other people deserve to know the truth about who you are. Consider it a public service. As I walked away, she called after me. I heard about your software company. Congratulations. You were never boring, Martin. I was just too selfish to see it. I turned back one last time. No, Lily. I was boring. But boring people build things that last. Exciting people just burn everything down. 6 months after that encounter, Authenticity was acquired by a major tech company for 8 figures. I used the money to start a foundation that provides resources for people dealing with infidelity and emotional abuse. I also used it to buy a house in the Berkshires, not far from the resort where I'd planned my revenge. It's quiet there, peaceful. The kind of place where boring people can think and create and build something real. I never remarried, but I dated. Women who valued honesty over excitement, substance over style. Women who understood that the most authentic moments aren't the ones you post on Instagram. As for Lily, I heard through mutual friends that she eventually found work at a marketing agency, doing social media for small businesses. It was honest work, the kind that didn't require her to perform her life for strangers. Max, on the other hand, never recovered from the exposure of his predatory business practices. He left Boston and moved to Los Angeles, where I assume he found new ways to exploit people's vulnerabilities. But that's not my story to tell anymore. My story ends here, in this house in the mountains, with the software I built and the life I created from the ashes of my marriage. It's a quiet life, maybe even a boring one. But it's honest. And honest, I've learned, is the most radical thing you can be in a world built on lies.